The Odyssey, Book 20, a summary. Odysseus goes to sleep in the portico, and Eurynome covers him in a blanket. He lies awake, plotting. The suitors' regular mistresses come in giggling, and Odysseus gets really pissed off. He considers killing them, but then calms himself down. He struggles to sleep, so Athene comes in the form of a woman to speak to him, and asks him why he is so sleepless. He asks her how he alone can defeat the suitors, and where he could go to escape vengeance if he does succeed. This is foreshadowing the sort of anger of the suitors' families. She says that he has the help of the gods and so will succeed, and then sends him to sleep. So Homer constantly reasserts divine power in the Odyssey. As Odysseus falls asleep, Penelope wakes up crying. She prays to Artemis to die. She had a vision in which Odysseus had been lying beside her, and she had basically thought it was real. Odysseus hears her weeping, and imagines her recognizing him. He prays to Zeus to send him an omen if the gods truly wanted to help. Zeus thunders in the sky, and Odysseus hears it and rejoices. Then a woman from within the palace comments on the fact that there is thunder without clouds, and says that it must be an omen for somebody. She prays that this is the suitors' last dinner, so it's foreshadowing again, this is part of the omen. Odysseus is now sure of his victory. Telemachus wakes up looking like a god, which represents his kleos, and asks Eurycleia if their guest was well attended to. He says it would be just like Penelope to leave the beggar without Xenia. This is resentment to his mother, perhaps because of her treatment of him and the suitors, the fact that she didn't tell them to leave, and just kind of, in a way, led them on, which is their perception. It's not everyone's perception, certainly not her own. But Telemachus does resent her in many ways. Eurycleia defends her and says that Odysseus chose to sleep on the floor. Eurycleia sends the other maids to work to prepare for a festival, as there is actually a festival ongoing during this day, which is significant. Eumaeus enters and asks Odysseus if he has been treated any better. Odysseus wishes the men would suffer. Melanthius, the goatherd, comes in and begins insulting and threatening Odysseus. Philoetius, the cowherd, enters and asks who Odysseus is, saying he looks like a king. He welcomes him and says he nearly cried because disguised Odysseus, so the beggar, looked so much like real Odysseus. So this is where it gets quite confusing, because both the beggar and the actual Odysseus are referred to as Odysseus in the epic. So I've used O to mean Odysseus as a beggar, and the full word Odysseus to represent the man that they're referring to, who they think is still lost at sea. Philoetius talks of Odysseus' greatness and the wickedness of the suitors. He has considered leaving, but has hope of Odysseus' return. So this is irony as well. Odysseus says that Philoetius is clearly an honourable and trustworthy man. He swears that the Odysseus they know will return and kill the suitors. Whilst this is happening, the suitors are planning another assassination of Telemachus. That was quite funny, actually. A bird of omen appears on their left. It is an eagle with a dove in its talons. Amphinomus notices and prophesies that their plot will not succeed, and then they feast. Telemachus gives Odysseus food, then tells him to sit with the suitors. Telemachus will protect him from abuse. Again, this is representing Telemachus' growth, personal growth. He tells the suitors to be nice in his house, and they are all shocked at his words. Antinous says that they must comply as Telemachus seems menacing. His character development. In the town, Achaean townsfolk are congregating around sacrifices. Athene makes the suitors continue to insult Odysseus. Again, it is a feast day throughout Ithaca, I've mentioned that. And this is again to keep fueling his anger. Ctesippus says that Odysseus has been given his fair share, saying that he will give him a present, and then grabs a cow hoof and throws it at Odysseus. Odysseus slightly tilts his head to dodge it, and then Telemachus says that Ctesippus is lucky that he missed, otherwise Telemachus would have speared him. And then he says, "My childhood is a thing of the past." Again, all these books really do represent Telemachus' growth as a character. Telemachus knows that the suitors want to kill him, and says it will be better than watching their disgrace every day. Agelaus says that Telemachus is right, and says that they should all stop maltreating their guest. He says it is obvious that the real Odysseus is not returning, so Telemachus should just tell his mum to remarry. Telemachus says that he isn't delaying Penelope's marriage, but would feel ashamed to drive her from her house. So they want him to send her back to her father's house until she remarries. But he feels like he can't do this as her son. Athena makes all of the suitors laugh uncontrollably until their faces look alien. Blood is spattered on the floor, and they cry. So this is an omen of their oncoming death that they cannot see. Theoclymenus, the prophet, who was seen in book 13/book 14. Again, I didn't know a summary of these books, but essentially he was on the run, being accused of murder, and Telemachus found him in his travels and brought him back to Ithaca. But he's a prophet. So yeah, he notices and comments on this omen, but the suitors simply laugh at him and say that he is insane. Theoclymenus prophesies a catastrophe and then leaves. The suitors ridicule Telemachus for his choice of guests, as he has brought in a beggar and what they believe to be a false prophet. So they suggest that they sell Theoclymenus into slavery. Telemachus simply ignores them and watches Odysseus waiting for his signal. Penelope hears every word, and then the epic ends on a cliffhanger. It was their villainy that had started it all. Okay, so it's getting exciting now. Thank you for listening. This is book 20, Summary of the Odyssey, and more will be coming soon.